Hello, hello, and welcome to what's probably your very first webinar of 2026. And it's still going to take me a minute because even earlier I was making a video for social media and I was like, oh, your 2025 is going to be great. I hope it was great because we are now in 2026. So, gosh, people are rolling in. One of the things I would love for you guys to do, I'm Crystal Williams with Lemon Seed Marketing, and I want to know who you are. And so please go to the comment section, tell me where you are and what industry you service. That's always helpful for us to know. Are you HVAC, plumbing, combo, electrical, pest control, roofing? We're here for all of it. Leadership has no barriers for home service. So a lot of times we deal with a lot of the same leadership concerns and growth methods. So I would love to know that there in the comments this morning. So guys, I am super excited. First of all, Trapper and James, and I know Tiffany's in the background. Thank you guys so much for being one of our sponsors of our Lemon Seed Conference coming up at the end of this month in Lufkin.
Absolutely. We're excited.
Trapper, I think you and I, it's either going to be me and you or it may be you and Emily, but I think it's going to be you and I that are co-hosting one whole day of Crystal and Trapper.
Well, we're going to get James in there too.
Oh, yes, that's right, James. James, save us. Save us. We'll need somebody to save us. But our Lemon Seed Conference is coming up at the end of this month, and we are dang near sold out. I looked this morning, and I think there's like room for 4 more contractors just for table seating. So it is going to be a great conference. And so you guys get to be a part of it. And then I have to tell this story. When I started Lemon Seed, because I've known Trapper well before Lemon Seed. But when I started Lemon Seed, Trapper was one of my very first clients. And then he brought several other clients to me. One of them being my longest tenured client is still with me today. He's going on year 6 with us and has grown such a phenomenal company. Added a service, added a mascot. That is Perfect Climate. Pat. And he'll be at conference. He is. It means a lot to me because he's been with us a long time. And then I got to know James when I was doing some consulting with McWilliams. And so this is a little powerhouse group today. So welcome, Deborah, Steve, Lori. Really excited to have you guys. Lori will actually be at conference with us. Lori Scholl from Eagle Pipe out of Washington State. So
love me some Lori.
I know. So we're going to have a great time. So I couldn't help but tell that story. So Trapper and James, both of you guys are from the industry. So I think I'll just start with you, Trapper. Just like tell everybody why they should care, kind of what you have to say today. How you've lived their life.
I've lived the ups and the downs.
Yes.
So I'll kind of give you my backstory. I started in the industry in the early 2000s. So I'm 20 plus years in the industry. I was an install helper on the commercial side. I carried a tool bag for a guy, and I learned from him a lot. Came through the install side, became a service technician. And then one day I got into sales, and sales changed everything that I even thought about this industry, because back, 20 years ago, man, we didn't have the assets or the opportunities of education and growth with our technicians, installers, and CSRs and all of it above. And it changed the way I looked at it. I understood marketing better. I started to understand business better. And then there was this one day in March of 2010, Ben Stark always uses this. I had an entrepreneurial seizure.
Oh, God.
And I decided to step out on my own and start a business. I thought if I could sell, several $1 million of heating and air conditioning in the DFW market for someone else, I thought, well, heck, it'll be easy to do it for me. That was completely wrong. I had a lot more to learn. I thought I knew everything at the age of 26, 27 years old, and then so we started the business in 2010. It was a one man. I was it. I answered the phones. I did payroll. I did the installs. I ran service calls, and that happened for quite a bit of time because I couldn't get out of my own way. And once I figured that out, we started to massively grow pretty quickly. And so we had the business for 15 years, and we've exited, and now we've got Fairway Conversion Group.
I love it. So one of my favorite things about Trapper, having worked with Trapper literally one-on-one with Trapper and Tiffany a lot at Infinity, was just an innate ability to sell. And so when we were talking about doing this webinar together, I was like, we're talking about sales. And you were like, no, I want to talk about leadership. And I was like, I forget. Cause it goes to the point to where you meet people at a different time in their life. And you're like, oh, but you're so good at sales. But what stuck with me after we hung up that day was Trapper had to learn how to be a leader. So just because you're the best sales guy or technician, or man, I do a mean install, does not mean that you are going to be able to run a company effectively. Like, just because you're the best shortstop on the team doesn't mean you're the best coach. It's a whole different level of skill set. And so leads me into James. I think this is one of your skill sets too, is like this superpower of bringing out the best in people. So James, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do and how you came to be.
Well, thank you. Number one, Crystal, for having us here. It's funny. My story is almost the opposite of Trapper's. And what I mean by that is he's been in the home services industry so long, it's almost as if he were born into it. I guess the way I would describe myself is I wasn't born in home services, but I got here as quick as I could. And the thing that excited me, my career in leadership and sales, and I'm almost at 30 years. This beard is getting pretty gray. And what I found were that the behaviors and the disciplines that we used for 17 years in retail, and then for many years in the medical industry, they were the same. And that's really what connected me with Trapper, was as I was meeting him for the first time many years ago, and we began to talk about our passions and our beliefs, our leadership strategies. What I realized was that this was my brother from another mother, and we were doing the exact same things, and we were experiencing the same successes and challenges, irregardless of industry. And so I think a scheduled 30-minute conversation turned into 3 hours. And literally, I was in the home services sector within 30 days and have never looked back. It's hard, but life is hard, right?
Right.
What I would tell you is this: we're in a special industry at a very special time in the industry's history. And even with all the challenges, we're about to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
I love that. That's so positive. And I've talked to a lot of contractors this year, just through Lemon Seed and through speaking and through the podcast and webinars and things like that. And, it's so easy. You guys know this. It's so easy to get down. Like, oh my gosh, sales are down. You got every manufacturer and distributor telling you we're down 20%, 30%, 40%. But they're all like, but you're over here trying to be up. You're trying to grow. And, you feel like you can't get the right people. You feel like you can't get everybody synergized together. And James, I remember I was talking to a past employee that worked at both McWilliams and with you, Summit Infinity. And they were like, James is the most calm leader, like just calm, cool, and collected. And like, you just tend to go along with what he says. And I remember people like, there is two types of owners that I think that I deal with on a consistent basis at Lemon Seed. Some of those, we call them a seagull leader. They come in, they poop all over everything, and then they fly out. Like, I'm out, And then there are the leaders that want to learn how to be better. So they're constantly working on themselves and adapting their behavior. And it just kind of led me into like our first kind of talking point today, which was basically, leadership is marketing does not grow businesses. Okay. Marketing is an accompaniment to good operations. And so when people are like, oh my gosh, you helped this company grow. And I'm like, helped is the operative word, because I can make the phone ring, but if you suck on the backside, I can't. It is a challenge. Like, I cannot be a business coach and your chief marketing officer. Yep. And my team is not built to help you with relational issues. We can help you with culture. We can help you with theory and ideas of what you should do. But at the end of the day, it is you as an owner operator or as a operations manager. You have to figure out what is going on so that you can help your team grow. So our first little, I thought, topic today could kind of be over, how do we really scale our business, grow our business when scaling might be the issue when we're just trying to get over like that $1 million hump. I call it the humps. There's 1, 3, 5, 7, 10. I mean, because every time you feel successful, what it took to get you there is not what it's going to take to get you to the next one. And so I just thought we could start with why does growth break our team before marketing does? Marketing is just an accompaniment to it. But what do you think, Trapper? What do you think is the biggest reason that growth really will start breaking companies?
Well, I think that this all boils down to the one key factor in any industry, any business, any leadership building at all. It all boils down to communication. And the lack of communication. If you took and surveyed, you surveyed 100 companies in all different industries. And I'm not talking about surveying the leaders or the owners or the CEOs or the COOs. Survey the boots on the ground. Mm-hmm. And you ask them what is the biggest thing that is lacking in their company. They're going to say communication.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing.
That's exactly right. And I think if I know and believe that that's going to affect growth, but it's also going to affect how marketing actually helps grow the business.
Yep. Yeah. So go ahead.
And I just want to piggyback on that too. The other thing that I would say is that growth multiplies consequences.
Yeah.
When you're small, if you make a decision that's not perfect, or if you make the just flat out wrong decision, you're affecting you're affecting a smaller group of people. But as you grow, every decision grows in its importance exponentially.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's really important that that leadership be ready for growth, and in order to set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think about this, so I basically what I do is I take clients, they come to me, I do this full audit, and I look at everything they're doing, right? So, and I focus a lot on what does your brand look like? What does your culture look like? What are people saying about you in your reviews? Where are you spending your money? And I look at all those things. And so from the outside, I'm going to tell you 90% of the time I can identify if I've got a good leader or if I don't. And I'm only looking at the marketing pieces. And the way that I can is just through the conversation that I have with them, how they speak about their team, how they speak about their company. I'm like, oh, this is a good leader. And mainly because it's not about them being the best one to read a P&L or the best one to install, inverter technology, right? That's great, right? Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm here for it. But I want to say sometimes, hey, instead of knowing the latest piece of innovation that's on the market, how about you learn your team? Like your team has an average ticket of $235. So our problem is not the newest IAQ on the market. Our problem is you're not motivating them in a way that speaks to them. You're not leading this team to help you hit the goals. And so I see that quite often, just again, from looking at their marketing.
Yeah.
But also and I think, Trapper, you can speak to this too, I know, but I'm a huge culture person. When I started at McWilliams, literally my role was to retain, recruit, and put us out in the market, put us out in the community. And so I say all the time, I spent money for a living. And so my brother, he loves that kind of life. He loves that. His favorite part about me is how much money I can spend. But
and I love that too. Thank you, by the way.
But I would be like, Trapper, we need to spend this. But I remember when we first started, you would be like, hey, I've got to have this team meeting. So we would come up with cool ideas for team meetings, things like that. That is leading, right? Navigating that. It is not going to come from how good your website performs, right? Or how, people, I watched this contractor the other day and they were like, oh my gosh, we've grown 300%. So everybody's like, how do you do it? How are you doing it? And I'm like, they were probably at $300,000. So everything is in perspective, so, just making sure that people know communication, keep getting everybody on the same page, leading with integrity and leading a team that is headed in the same direction. Casting a vision is so important to what we're doing there. And it's the only way to be sustainable in growth year over year over year. So just a little reminder in the chat section, we want to know where you're from. Welcome, Carmen. Hi, Michelle. Hey, Vivian and Tim. Thank you guys for being with us. Tim's up there near Temple, Texas. That's not too terribly far in the middle of us.
Mr. Tim Harrow is a former Infinity employee.
Oh, okay, Tim.
Yeah.
Welcome. Giddy up. I love the name. Giddy up, eating in air.
He's doing a great job down there.
Yeah, so good for you, Tim. That's exciting. So, okay, let's talk about leadership gaps. So, James, I'm going to kind of kick this one to you. So, leadership gaps. So, let's say I'm running a company and I feel like I do a decent job. What are some things that I could identify as maybe leadership gaps where I could look at myself a little differently, or what are some signs maybe from my team that I need to look at my leadership style differently?
Yeah, two things on that one. Great questions. One, listen more than you speak. So if you find that you're doing all the talking, you can, no matter how good of a leader, Crystal, that you think you are, great leaders are the most curious person in the room.
Yeah.
And the leader that asks the best questions is the one that wins, generally speaking. But there are so many leaders out there that think, if I could just say this, or if I could just do this, and very often it's not what you say that changes the culture in a company, but it's what you hear. Okay, that's number one. And then the second thing that I would say is, regardless of how good of a leader you think you are, how great you think your culture is, if you think you're crushing it, even if you think you're not crushing it, because there's a lot of leaders out there that nobody beats them up more than themselves, and I would say that's the vast majority. What I would tell you is, go to the source. One of the most powerful things that you can do as a leader is to walk into the offices and the work areas of those people that you get the pleasure of serving and serving with, and simply asking them, hey, what am I getting right? And how could I do better? What am I getting wrong? Now, guys, that takes courage. And then when you ask that question, you need to sit back and shut up. And I would probably take some notes, but don't be defensive.
Don't try to justify. Don't try to justify everything.
Yeah, because here's the thing. There's your perception of reality, and then there's your team's perception of reality. And oh, by the way, their perception of reality will be impacted by their personality traits. And so as they're responding to you, it's very important that you speak that language so that you may translate what they're actually saying. And then go back and and you just need to, you really need to think on what they've shared with you. You need to look for similarities, correlations. You need to, there's what you think, and then there's what they think. And you need to know that. It's super important.
Yeah. I love that. Trapper, you want to add something to that?
I'll say this, like 2019, we were in Vegas. Crystal, you were there. I listened to one of the speaker was Matt Mayberry, and his speech was on transformational leadership. And I think that helped me understand leadership more than anything. But there's one big thing. I still have the journal. It's back here on my bookshelf that I took notes in that day. And he said this one phrase, and I think it falls into exactly what James is talking about. He said this one phrase, and it says, care more, serve more, love more. And I took that back, and I looked at Tiffany, and I said, when we get home, I need you to find out how to print that bad baby off in 12-inch letters, and we're putting it on my wall in my office. And so every time I walked into my office, every single morning, every single afternoon after lunch, every single time I had a meeting with someone one-on-one, that reminded me that's the leadership way I needed to lead our team, because caring about them, Most leaders don't. Just being honest. Serving people is what we should be doing every day of our life, and loving on them, because that creates the culture, that creates longevity of them being a part of the team. And what we have to understand is we're just not loving on them. We're just not serving them. We're just not caring about them. They have a family.
Yeah.
And their family depends on us to make sure that we lead our team in the right direction.
So I love this because, I'm super passionate about seeing people as individuals and not just a KPI. Right.
Yeah.
So, and listen, that gets hard it's easy when you got 2-3 people, right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I got my CSR and I got these 2 guys and they're great. And you can give out all these great bonuses and take everybody to lunch. But now all of a sudden you look up and one day you've got 50 employees, 100 employees, and it gets really hard. So the key here is you have to build a team of people around you that are so ingrained in your way of thinking and your culture that you just are multiplying that level. So when I got brought on, literally when Trey called me, he was like, listen, I can't maintain what I want to maintain. And McWilliams was, I can't even remember, let's say 4 million, 5 million, where we were at the time. And I remember coming in and learning like, oh, he has 2 kids. Oh, you drive 30 minutes to work these little idiosyncrasies. But what it did is it made you understand them a little bit better. So when you changed the on-call schedule at the last minute and this guy was upset, I'd be like, I would be upset too. His wife is about to have twins and he lives 45 minutes away. And all of a sudden we're like, hey, we're redoing the whole schedule.
Yep.
And you're like, well, they should be thankful they have a job. And they are thankful they have a job, but they don't go, hey, this just disrupted my entire life, but that's okay. I have a job.
Yeah.
We have to be realistic with those things. So I love care more. And so care more than just the KPIs, care about them as people, love more. Anybody that knows me knows, I love the Lord so much with all my heart as I look at every single person as God created that person. Who am I to not love them for who they are? Right. Yeah. And then serving them. One of the core values at Lemon Seed, we use ZESTY as our acronym, and the S stands for servant minded advocates, meaning how can we serve you as a client, but for you guys, like, how can I serve these people? And I remember thinking, we had this snowstorm in Texas, snowpocalypse, and it was terrible. It was terrible because number one, do y'all think East Texas has snowplows? Or we had like Jimmy out here on a tractor. No, everybody's just trying to clear the roads. But my brother called me and he was like, hey, I'm going to come and pick you up because you need to come to the office with me because we've got to figure out, we need everybody working. So I need you to take care of their families. So I went to calling people like, I'm bringing food. I was calling my friends that were caterers. And because we wanted to serve the people that were serving our own employees. And so, it is super impactful. So I love that from both of you guys. Well, I know that you guys do DISC profiles. So for those of you that are on the call, it shows to be about 20 something people actively on the webinar right now. I would love for you to tell us if you've ever done DISC profile. I want to know, what is your letter, right? So most people can guess my letter very easily.
What?
But I know, shocker. I'm a C. No kidding. But put in there. No, absolutely not. And C's have a hard time with me, but it's okay. But I want to know, just like Tim did there. Tim put he's an I. I want you to put in the comment section what letter you are. If you know, if you don't know, buckle up because you're going to love this. So James, how do you manage all of these different styles of people? I know you and Trapper, y'all are experts at this, but their behaviors, the way they communicate, like, how do I deal with these different people?
Yeah. Here's what I would tell you. Most people are familiar with the DISC personality profiling or something similar to it. And 99% of them are using it incorrectly. And it's not their fault because they're kind of taught the basics and then it's like, okay, great. Now go conquer the world.
Yeah.
The reality of that system is it's not designed so understanding yourself, that's phase 1, but it's phase 2 where most people drop the ball.
Yeah.
And they view it as, okay, so we'll publish this so that everybody knows how to communicate with me. And this profile is designed so that you know how to communicate with others. And so great leaders step forward and they focus on communicating with others, not how others are communicating with them.
Yes.
In other words, they're not using bad communication as, oh, well, we just have different personalities.
Right. Personality conflict.
Yeah,
Personality
it's fine.
They don't
it's
understand
fine.
me.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
yes.
and that actually and that actually leads to one of the biggest mistakes in leadership is then that all of a sudden people start surrounding themselves with people that communicate like them, because oh my goodness, what great conversations, but there's zero action taken, right?
Right.
But what I would tell you is this, like, one, the best piece of advice is, one, know who you are, and then you have to make it a priority to understand who your team is. And you need to understand the details of that team. Crystal, if I dropped you in China right now and someone started speaking Chinese to you, would you understand that?
No.
But what if they did it really, really slowly and they enunciated
No.
very,
Still
would you
no.
understand?
Still
No.
a hard no.
No, it's a hard no. And so, like, you need to know yourself, know your team, and then it's incumbent upon the leader. You make the adjustments. Um, mirror and matching.
Mm.
Mirror and matching. If you have a teammate that speaks with a slow tone or a cadence, you need to slow down your language. If you have a teammate that is story based versus stats based, you need to mirror their type. And it's not about manipulation. It's about rapport. It's about building trust and feeling seen and heard and all of those buzzwords. But when you sit down in front of somebody or ask them a question in the language that they speak, you will be amazed at the answers that you're given, the answers to everyday questions and the answers to some of the most complex challenges your business faces on a daily basis.
Yeah, so I just could not love this more, and we'll tell you why. I am a high I, which, the letters at the end of the day, it's personalities, right? But I'm a high I, which is an influencer. I tend to be like, good morning. I'm that person. Good morning, everybody. Happy birthday. What are we doing today? What can we get into? And Emily, my partner at Lemon Seed, is not. She's actually a high D, so she's just like, let's just get to the point. What are we here for? Right.
Mhm.
I want to chat for a minute. Like, good girl, what'd you do over the weekend? And she's like, nothing. First thing on the agenda, it's like, and so, but I learned a long time ago, because I sat in a room full of my dad and my brother, which is like a tornado and a hurricane. Okay. And so, like, both of them are high D's. They have no time, no patience, and you just get to the point. So, but I learned that my superpower, if you will, to not be too cliche, was a sense of community. And I tried to bring energy to the room and engagement, but that's not always welcomed, to your point. Like, it can overwhelm people very easily. They're like, oh my gosh, Crystal is a lot. So as I've gotten older, I could be like, well, sorry, that's who I am. And that's going to get me disinvited to a lot of rooms.
Yeah.
And
So
that's what most people do, Crystal.
get disinvited.
It's just who I am.
Yeah. Yep. And especially so, and again, I'm going to get on my soapbox for half a second. I know y'all have something to say to this.
Right.
So in the business that I'm in for marketing, like, it tends to be a younger crowd wants to jump in the marketing and they want to do all these things. So what the younger people, so let's call it mid-20s, they've been taught, be who you are.
Yeah.
Be unapologetically you. So one day I had to tell one of my own team members, girl, you can be, and don't apologize for it. We just don't have to invite you to our party. So you'll be all over there being, well, I'm very direct. That's just who I am. You'll be direct by yourself.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to, people are afraid. It's not that they don't want to, but you're not a safe place for people to be as much as you're trying to be like, this way. So it really requires people to switch their way of thinking of, yes, it's wonderful who every one of you are. Honestly, every single person brings a lot to the table. It's more about, do they know how to really bring a lot to the table that is received by others?
Right.
That's a fact.
And so just you can come in and dominate the conversation and tell everybody what you're going to tell them and then walk out of the door. We don't have to buy into it, nor do we have to follow you. And so, direct is good. It has a lot of good, clear is kind, direct is kind. I'm here for that because I tend to beat around the bush because I don't like confrontation. Remember, I'm an I just want everybody to have a good time.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, this person needs really hard. They need really hard words. Like I just need to break it to them, but I've had to learn how to harness it, and I'm still not great. I work on my leadership every day, like learning those things. And so, can one of you give us a brief overview of DISC, just in case people have never heard of it before?
James, go ahead.
Sure. So essentially, we view DISC as more than a personality test. We view it as an operational framework. It's not the words on the page; it's the page itself.
Yeah.
So it's not what we do; it's how we do it. And so that's the first thing that I would start with. But DISC is a system that shows you someone's dominant personality style, how they prefer to be communicated with, and super important here, take notes, how they perform under stress. Because I mean, let's just be honest. If you think you're on top of the world, this too shall pass. If you think you're at the bottom, this too shall pass. So you're going to experience those highs and lows. And when we truly understand, someone's personality, their response to a stress environment or their response to winning, it brings communication to a whole nother level. Let me just share this, and then I'll relinquish my time. Regardless of the industry that I've been in, when we would do teammate surveys, 75% of the team always said that the organization's number one problem was communication. When you look at that through the lens of a DISC personality assessment, it makes total sense, because remember this, the communication is going to be in the language of the person who writes it. So if you have an HR representative that's a high C, that's going to appeal to 25% of the teammate population, while the other 75% are like, this place stinks. They don't communicate. They're not about people. They're all about numbers. But if you have someone that's a high I, and they're the ones sending out the mass communication, then you've got a massive majority of the population going, oh my gosh, they're all about feel this, feel that. I need some stats. This organization communicates so poorly. And so remember that, like, for us, let me give you a great piece of advice. If you have a communication that you want to send out to your company, I want you to write that communication. I want you to write it up just like you would, or just like you have historically done so. Before you do, I want you to take your email. I want you to load it into an AI engine, if you have one that you use. And I want you to say, rewrite this email so that it appeals to all 4 personality types, and have it spit it right back out to you. It's your email, it's your words, but it will be arranged in such a way that instead of only appealing to a minority of your teammate population, it will actually appeal to the greatest number of individuals possible. And you will watch the perception or the feelings people are having about your ability to communicate skyrocket.
Yeah.
It's so helpful.
I love this. So it reminds me of this. So we did a DISC profile with our Lemon Seed team about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now. And I opened, the lady sent us back to us. And I was like, oh my gosh, of 25 employees, I have like 7 Ds, high Ds. I was like, I'm like, no wonder, because everybody is the boss, but it did remind me, speaking of like how you communicate. So I am, again, on our Monday morning meetings for Lemon Seed, I want to like, okay, we're going to play a game. Let's get on the island, get off the island. We're guessing. Let's review it on. And really, you know what they wanted? Like, good morning, everybody. So glad you're here. Here's a recap from last week. Here's what we're doing this week. Have a good Monday, because those high D people really wanted the most efficient use of time.
Yep.
And so did my C's. Now, I had quite a few I's. So if you've ever worked with a high I and a high D, you know what they want out of things is drastically different. So one day, literally, I was just researching and reading some stuff. Service Nation had done like a class on it, and I was reading some stuff, and I was like, okay, how do I marry these two? How do I build something, a Monday morning meeting? Because my third one was my S's. So there were some people that just wanted everybody to get along. They were very steady and calm. But then I had I call them my two wild cards, the high D's and the high I's. And basically, I started creating like quick games. There were easy wins and that would keep people engaged instead of these long drawn out games. But to your point, I think that was a wonderful advice. Now we have the resource of AI to help us build great company meetings that appeal to our team dynamic and help me identify holes in my communication. So I thought that was a great piece of advice. Mainly, I'm like, look at me. I'm over here like I'm fixing to run all of my agendas through Chat GPT for my high Ds.
I do want to be clear, though. You can use AI all you want, but you still have to understand your team.
Oh, no, for sure.
You got to understand every personality profile that is in your team. And to James's point earlier, he talks about how they like to communicate, right? Mm-hmm. But there's also the backside of that is there's something we talk about a lot called accountability. Mm-hmm. Accountability is not 100% the leader holding the team accountable. Accountability is 50% the leader holding the team accountable and 50% the team holding the leader accountable. And I believe that 100% because, and James brought that to me. That was one of the eye-opening things at Infinity was we needed to share that accountability as a partnership. Secondly to that, with accountability and with the communication styles, every person takes coaching and criticism or self-correcting a totally different way. You can take a high D and almost like punch them in the face and say, you need to fix this now. And they're like, okay. And they walk away. If you did that to any one of us that's on this call as high I's, we would be over in the corner bawling like a baby because we're like, oh, he just embarrassed us in front of everybody.
Yeah, you hurt my feelings.
Yeah, exactly. So, or if you did it to a high C and you didn't give them the reasons and the data why, they're not gonna respond.
Well, and Tiffany Barnes from your group, she put on here, she was a CS the first time she took it, but after she was in management for a few years, she changed over to an FC because she wanted to lean more into that care more, share more, love more. Yeah. And I was going to bring that up too. Like as much as I love the fluffy side of leadership, the fluffy side of loving on people, I've had to force myself into being more dominant, even though I'm, people will be like, oh, she bossy. Like I was that bossy person, but there's a difference in being bossy and being dominant. Like I don't have to have it only my way or specifically my way. So there is some language that needs to be discussed there. But for the most part, I've had to learn to be more direct because it was impacting my team. I let 2 team members stay on my team in 2022 that forever changed my perspective on leadership. Because I had to swallow this pill that I had allowed that to go on to the detriment of 20 others. So I was trying to save these 2 people that were cancerous and torturous to the team, all for the sake of, I was afraid of multiple things, which y'all are going to live this life. I was a little bit like handcuffed. Like if I fire those people, I've got to do it. And I feel like I don't have time to do anything. Also like, well, they just need a chance. They're so smart. They're so nice, right? But honestly, I've learned now that when I can change my thought process to say, okay, I need to be more direct, but accountability, I need to introduce accountability, and then I need to understand how to coach my team to be accountable for what they do.
And Crystal, can I add to that? Because what both of you guys are saying is so important. So accountability is one of the pillars of leadership. We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
And what Trapper said was like accountability is 50% you holding me accountable and 50% me holding you accountable. Let me remind every leader on this call that when Trapper and I are talking about holding each other accountable, that's a two-sided coin. I don't earn the right to tell Trapper what he's doing wrong or where he can get better if I'm not also telling him what he's doing right and where he's crushing it.
Yeah.
And that is that it doesn't matter the personality type when we talk about that. If I will go to you and go, hey, you made this decision and it was fantastic. Or when you did this, it has truly changed the course of this business for good. Like you did a fantastic job in that speech, right? Those aren't just words of encouragement. That is called accountability. If
Mm.
and when I do that, I am earning the right to tell you when you're not meeting your own standard.
Yeah.
And what is that? A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down? No,
Yep.
a
Yep.
spoonful of accountability. Here's what you did right gives me the ability to also go, hey, here's where I know that we can get better. And when we position it that way, the good, the bad, me and you, then what we have is we have next level communication.
100%.
Yeah, yes, I had a little situation this last year, and I was bothered again. My naturalness is for everyone to have a great life, and so I was really bothered by some things that had been said to me about other people that were close to me. I was really struggling with it, and I went to a trusted person in my life that I feel like is a good leader, and I was just like, "What do I do?" And he said, "You know what? Here's the problem. We have this thing called emotional equity." And all year long, you're pouring into people. He's like, basically, you're building the right to correct. And he
Mhm.
said, so, when you are pouring into people, you're building up this equity within them that knows you are for them, you are with them. And he goes, it's not kitschy, it's not new age, it's really just letting people know that. And I know I keep using this, and this is really not my personality type, but you're safe for them, like you're
Yeah.
giving them things that are building them as a person. And he said, then when you have to have hard conversations, that little bit that it knocks them down is nothing compared to the amount that you've built them up. And he said one of the things that he felt like, he watches his own people. So he runs a national organization that has these large um, receiving centers. And he said, I can tell you within like the first week or two if a leader is going to build enough emotional equity. He said, because they start off correcting.
Mm.
They start off with like, I am lion, hear me roar, because I'm the
Mhm.
boss. I can
Yeah.
do it because I'm the boss. And instead, like, of looking at people as individuals and building up, like, this person comes in late every day. Well, I'm the boss, can't be late every day. Instead, like, did he go figure out, why are you late every day? What's
Right.
going on? Instead, like, he's like, I just watch them like come in and pound their chest versus building. And that emotional equity has set with me like ever since that happened. And I'm like, literally every day, like, how can I build my emotional equity? So, you know what it made me think? When a team member says, hey, I need to be off tomorrow, my family's just, I got to stop and I got to help my family. It's helped me to be like, let me check on her. Hey, girl, were you able to get your grandpa moved to his new? Again, I have so many other things in my mind. I got my own kids, my own business, right? But when I stop and I'm like, this is me helping build a solid relationship with them, because I need to be able to correct. I need to be able to shift. That was the biggest leadership shift for me. And it happened late in 2025. But to your point, it was that emotional equity was such an eye opener for me. Because I've always been taught like you lead, you be direct, you get in there, and it just didn't
Mm.
didn't always land for me.
No, but that certainly works for a portion of your teammates,
Yeah.
but what works for them doesn't work for all. And the here's the little nugget I would give anybody, um, is just go sit beside one of your teammates and go, hey, you know what? I'm going to do a better job of holding you accountable in 2026. And then watch their nonverbal language, their body language.
Uh-huh.
if they go like that,
Trapper,
as a leader, you're not doing a good enough job of holding people accountable.
Yeah.
The goal would be for them, over these next 12 months, that when the word accountability is spoken in your four walls, people need to open up, because they know this person will be for me. They're going to tell me what I get right, and they're going to coach me on how to get better.
that
Because
coaching on how to get better. Yes.
yeah, because it's a complete culture shift, guys. Like at Infinity, and I know Trapper would mention this here in a little bit, but like if we had to break everything down, because we have to reduce to the ridiculous, like the thing that changed everything was when we quit thinking that culture was something that was written on a wall, and we started understanding that culture is what is allowed. Um, culture is the aggregate of actions, and we broke it down to this: win or learn.
Mm.
We either win or we learn. So when we get it right, we're going to celebrate, and when we get it wrong, that's where the growth happens. Because if we look at every situation, good, bad, or buttermilk, as we either won or we had an opportunity to get better, then we never lose. The only time that that theoretically we could lose is if we did something wrong and then didn't do anything about it.
Right. Didn't learn.
And so and we didn't learn. And so like it changed our meetings. And what I mean by that is we started every meeting with win or learn, and it always started with the leader. And we told the entire group, not behind closed doors, out in front of everybody, here's one thing I got right this week. Here's one thing I got wrong this week. And here's what we experienced. One, it allowed everybody to celebrate those wins and an opportunity to replicate them. But the most robust discussion, the biggest changes to operational efficiency, the biggest changes to revenue growth, the biggest changes to culture and communication, it all happened in what we got wrong, Crystal.
Yeah.
And we created an environment where people, they didn't hide their failures. They didn't cower. They had courage.
Yep.
And they came out and said, I got this wrong. And I will tell you that I believe that is a point. You can look, there was everything before that moment, and then there was everything after.
Yeah.
Yes.
Win or learn.
The craziest thing about it is, forever you would have a teammate, and I'm not going to say it was a technician or an installer or a CSR or anybody else in the office. A teammate in general would be scared to make a decision on their own. How many times have we had an employee or a teammate stand outside our office door and go, hey, how should I do this? Or, hey, this is the problem that I came across. And when we shifted our mindset to win or learn, completely changed it, because they weren't scared to make their own decision. And if they got it right, we celebrated it. If they got it wrong, we learned from it.
Right.
And that changed culture across the board.
I love that. And one time, and again, I'm a natural cheerleader. So one day one of my team members, Emily, was out, and we had to make a decision about a brand, like a choice. And so when my creative director called me, I was like, hey, I trust you. And she was like, really? I was like, yes. You're in this position for a reason. Like, here's my opinion. You gave me yours opinion, but I trust you. At the end of the day, you're going to make the right decision for the client. And so, a couple of months go by, and she ended up getting a different job. And one of the things that she told me, she's like, that day just made me feel like you had so much faith in me. And I took it for granted because I'm a cheerleader. I was like, oh, okay. But so to your point there, like when people feel, man, okay, I can make a choice. Because no matter what, they've got my back. They're either going to celebrate the win with me, or they're going to help me make a different decision next time. And I've tried to teach people, like, you just have to be a little risky. Like, okay, we are way more educated on marketing than the majority of our client base. And so you just, we want to make the right decision for clients. And I appreciate that. But sometimes we have paralysis by analysis, and we just need to make a decision. So, and that really can build their confidence. I ask everybody on the team today, what's one thing they accomplished in 2025? Because there's a TikTok trend where everybody's putting a little flag in a cake. So I use that example. and two of my team members who were low confidence last year, they were like, I really feel like I've gained confidence. And I'm like, that was a little leadership pat on the back for their lead and for Emily and I, because we've been pushing them just get out there. It's hard. It's hard to be a leader. It's hard.
It is.
I'll wrap this on this conversation, or this part of it on my part. I would say empowerment equals confidence. And it will change everything. And to your point, yeah, you may have someone move on, and that's okay.
Right.
You made an impact on that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's important too, like, not being so like off put, like celebrating Tim opening his own business.
Yeah.
Yanessa moving to a different company. I hate to lose people, but at the same time, I'm like, it's just par for the course. No real pun intended, but just it is what it is, So, okay, here's the last little thing of how we're going to wrap up. Now, as we get ready to wrap up, those of you that are watching, put your questions or leadership comments here in the chat, and Madison will pop them up on the screen. If you have any questions for me or for James or Trapper about leadership or marketing, whatever your questions might be. But, one of the questions that I thought we could have is an actionable takeaway, what is something that you think people could implement relatively quickly right now? So let's think about our average contractors that we know across the country. I want each of you to tell me, like, what is one thing you think they could implement relatively now? Maybe this week. It's in first week of the year. I'm going to go first just to give you guys a minute to think, because I always know mine. And mine is consistency. Because I have to work on this myself, because I'm a dreamer, I'm a visionary. And so with visionaries come tons of ideas thrown out there and not following through with a lot of them. So I've had to learn that about myself. So consistency, I think, is one thing that I would encourage you to do. Is if it's that one meeting a week that I'm going to have and I'm not going to cancel it, and I'm going to be organized and I'm going to be structured, or is it providing KPI feedback every single week? Don't, Rome wasn't built in a day. So just start with something nice and simple that you can hold yourself accountable, back to that accountable word, to providing for your team every single week. Be consistent about that one thing, so that your team knows they can depend on you for that particular thing. So that's my advice. Trapper, what about you?
Oh, this is a great question. And there's so many things that are just simple, because, we always talk about, how are we going to take this whole webinar and implement everything that we talked about today? Right. And we always say, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time, right?
That's right. That's right.
So I've been through plenty of meetings and plenty of seminars and plenty of, learning
conferences. Yeah.
Yes. And I come back and I felt like I drank from a fire hose.
Yep.
And James and I talked about this previously, but I would say one of the easiest things that we could do is recognize behavior, reward behavior, and not just results.
I love it. Recognize, reward, and results.
Yeah.
I love it. Recognize, I love it. Me, that's my jam. Recognize people, celebrate people. Right. I love that. I love it.
We have 3 high eyes on this conversation.
Yeah, I know.
We can scroll it in.
Are you a high eye too? James is a high eye.
I am. So I'm an IS.
Okay, and poor Tiffany is a C.
Yes.
Trying to control y'all two over there.
Yeah, she's created a spreadsheet for each of us just to try and understand us.
I'm sure.
And we're all gas pedal. Watch out.
I'm sure. That's so funny. All right, yes. James, what do you think?
Yeah, and mine would be match their energy.
Oh,
match their energy. I want you to walk in every single room this week, and I want you to match their energy. So if you've got someone that is more soft-spoken, I want you to be intentional, and I want you to slow your energy down. And if you have somebody that is more upbeat, somebody that's more energetic, I want you to raise your energy level to match that. I still want you to say what you need to say. I just want you to change how you say it.
I love that. Listen, these are such great pieces to go back. So especially those of you that maybe are young leaders and you're just trying to get your foothold, if you will, on it. Like, those are great pieces of advice. Like, just looking at this as an opportunity. This is an opportunity to lead. It's a privilege to lead people.
100%.
And if once you really get that mindset of it is a privilege, and I need to be the one that adapts and adjusts, serve people, love people, care about people. It is so impactful. And honestly, I can't help but turn this into a little marketing conversation. When you get that culture under control, and it's a culture that is based around those things, it naturally bleeds over to your brand as a whole. How
Yes.
your CSRs interact with customers, how they handle. I will listen to calls and the CSR is just as rowdy as the customer. And I'm like, golly, but it goes to show you how you approach, you as the owner, how the owner approaches difficult customers, difficult employees. I mean, I'll hear them all the time. Well, I'm going to send you Brad. I mean, like, you call me if you don't get there. Because, he likes to travel off board. I'm like, don't tell a customer that. But you can tell that's what they are. That's what's being fed to them.
Yeah.
And so when you adjust, even these minor adjustments with your leadership, it will roll down to your overall brand and your culture. And honestly, that is one cruise ship that you can turn with intentionality is your culture. You can do it. You just need to be intentional and putting your foot down that this is who you are and this is how I lead. And if they don't like it, they can leave. Don't worry, because they will.
Yeah.
They will. And you won't have a safe place there.
You'll be on that ship by yourself and it ain't
That's
going
right.
nowhere.
Yes. And if you let me, some of y'all like that, I've determined, like, because you don't want to fix it. But okay, Trapper and James, I know Madison has the info to get in contact with you guys, but real quick, just tell me a little bit, Trapper, like if someone wanted to use Fairway Conversion Group, like what are y'all known for? What are you getting out there right now for contractors? How could they use your services?
Yeah, and James, feed into this because I may leave something out. But so really and truly, the foundation point of Fairway Conversion, well, let me back up. We consult, we coach, we do disc. From technicians to installers to CSRs, we'll teach you how to close deals and sell things. But our foundation is understanding your team first. And there's so many levels to it. And I was sitting here thinking about it as you were talking about the marketing side of this. There's so many levels to disc. We want to, the very beginning, we want to introduce you to your team again because you need to know who they are, no matter if they're brand new or if they've been there 10 years. Right.
Yep.
And then as we gradually go down, there's other levers that we pull in this disc that will enhance culture, accountability, results. And when all of those things start to come together, y'all better watch out because
you're unstoppable.
Hard to guard.
And Crystal, I'll add to that. What Trapper said is 100% true. So DISC is the foundation of everything we do. But this is what I would tell. Like, there are business owners on this call right now, and they've been doing this for years. They honestly, they're 80% of the way there. And I think there are so many consulting companies that want to come in and go, okay, here, you need to do this entire system, and let's trash this, and we're going to start here. And our answer to that is, like, this isn't theory for us. Like, we come from the field, okay? And so what I would tell you is, you may be so close. There just may be one missing ingredient. And so what we do is we come in and we care more, love more, serve more by just being really honest with you and saying, hey, you got one ingredient to go. We're going to help you put it together. Or it may be tough love and say, hey, you've got 5 ingredients that in order to make this thing cook right. And so I think it's just sitting down and customizing the solution to each individual person, knowing that DISC is the foundation of everything that we do and how we give and receive information.
Yes, listen, so many contractors need to work on themselves. Give yourself, like, when you build out that training budget, put yourself in that budget as a leader.
Yes.
You need a coach. One person told me, you should always have a coach or something,
Mhm.
because you should always be focused on something. Like right now, we have sales coaches. We have, we have things that we're doing. So, right now on the screen is how you can get in contact with Fairway Conversion Group. James and Trapper will be on stage with us at the Lemon Seed Conference at the end of this month here in Lufkin, Texas. We are doing a whole site tour of McWilliams' Burke location. So you'll be able to do a shop visit at the same time. But come and visit with us. We're going to be talking a lot about leadership and marketing and all those good things at our conference. And if you need Fairway Conversion Group, these are some of my favorite people in the industry. And so I'd love to make a connection for you. So again, their information is on the screen. And again, we're at 11:01, which is exactly about an hour since we started. Again, I'm Crystal Williams with Lemon Seed Marketing, and our goal is to always help you have a strategy for your marketing. Stop throwing wet noodles at the wall to see what sticks. Stop getting distracted. Build a healthy brand with a healthy strategy, and let Lemon Seed help you do that along the way. We had no questions, and so make sure you're following Fairway Conversion Group on all their social media channels, along with Lemon Seed and our podcast from the Yellow Chair. Until next time, Trapper and James, thank you so much for being here
Thank
with me
you.
today. It was a
Thanks,
wonderful
Crystal.
conversation. And until next time, guys, make sure you're following us and hanging out with us. But thanks again for today. And I think it's a good kickoff to 2026. So we'll talk soon.
Absolutely.
Bye.